Alright, welcome back to MMG. First of all, this is not financial advice. Consult your licensed financial advisor before doing anything. Stocks, extremely risky, extremely volatile. Do not invest anything you're not willing to lose or lose sleep over. Know what you're doing if you're trading. And I'm also not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I'm just a guy. Alright, guys? I could be completely wrong. Although, unfortunately, more and more evidence is mounting that I am right about the end cove. Let's just call it that, all right? Because of the algos. So, what am I going to talk about? We're going to talk about strategizing with the markets and trading for the next few weeks and months. And then we're going to talk about you got to get prepared. And then just going to bounce around, look at some news articles. Listen, there's new information coming out. And it's bad. And pretty much our worst fears are coming true. For everyone who was trolling me, oh, you're overreacting, it's just a flu. No. Nope. Unfortunately, I was right. Now listen, if you watch the latest video in my newsroom, or you could look it up on YouTube, but it's in my newsroom. I posted it a little bit ago, about an hour ago. Today's Friday night. It is probably 8 p.m. somewhere around there. So the markets did pull back today a little bit right before the close. And for good reasons. And it's the reasons I've been warning everyone about, right? So listen. It's R0 or not is between 4.7 and 6.6. That basically what that means is, and this is information coming out, like this is fact. Like no quarantining is really working. It goes through vents of buildings, and even if you have protective PPEs, the problem is people they don't know how to sterilize their PPEs once they take them off. I guarantee nobody's doing it. And I mean, I know how to do it, but it's even when you do it, there's still a percentage because it's so contagious. Meaning that, you know, this stuff could go through pipes, vents. It could live on surfaces for up to, so far as we know, it's guaranteed at least 2 weeks, but we're seeing reports of it up to 24 days. I mean, so here's what's probably going to happen. This cannot be stopped. It's going to eventually make its way through the entire world and the human population, especially in the cities. And, you know, if you avoid it maybe the first wave, like the first year, you might not be able to avoid it the second. You're eventually going to get it. So you have to get your immune system ready. You have to work out. You have to be healthy. It doesn't look good for elderly and people who already have some sort of conditions. Okay. So this is why for the past 3 weeks, I've been warning people. You need to get ready. At least get your PPEs, because the longer you could, here's how this works. A lot of people are going to get it at once. You don't want to get it with everyone else at the same time, because there's not going to be enough ICUs, like beds. There's not going to be enough oxygen. You're not going to get treatment. if you get it at the same time as everyone else. So the best thing is to not get it, and then maybe later down the road when, you know, it's the first waves of people have gone through and there's less people and there's more facilities. I mean, I'm sure they're going to make more, just like in China, they made endless hospitals, right? You have a better chance, right? So watch this video. It's good. It's in the newsroom. But listen, the supply chain, it's going to break. This, I'm not so much personally, because I'm young and I'm strong. I have a strong immune system. I am not worried about the nCoV. I'm worried about it for parents and other people and relatives, right? But I know I will survive that. It's what happens because of it that has me worried. Because the system is such a leveraged, debt-induced Ponzi, it's the entire modern grid, like financial grid, going down is what worries me. And supply chains breaking down. And we already see supply chains breaking down. The first supply chains are global ones. Right? That's why oil's not rising. Oil's not going to rise. Because there's no demand for it. No one's driving around. Because of quarantines, right? So demand drops for that. That's why that drops the price of crude. Now, supply for everything. In my last video, I said pharmaceuticals, like 97% in the U.S. is made in China. It's not just that. It's a lot of things. Same with Europe's. The entire global supply chain can come to a halt. If that happens, whatever you see in the stores right now is going to disappear. Like, the shelves are going to be empty everywhere. Also, this is going to kickstart hyperinflation because everyone's going to become a hoarder. They're going to just go buy everything they can to survive. And not just that, even if they think they're going to survive, they're going to need things, like, because there's going to be quarantines. People are going to lose their jobs, and then the central banks are going to start printing money like you've never seen before, which will also be more inflation on top of inflation caused by the nCoV crisis. So it's like the worst type of nightmare you could ever imagine. That's what has me worried. And, you know, if people don't go to work, nothing's going to be made. Now you could say, yeah, well, maybe everyone will just go to work, and then the people who get it bad enough, they will be the only ones who will end up going to that. Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. But at first, the quarantines and all that, it's still going to happen because you need to slow it down from spreading. Because if you don't, then you get a mass hysteria panic because people are going to be dropping left and right in public. Because I explained this in my last video, the mortality and the fatality, right? It's anywhere from 15 to 20%. That's out of every 10 people, 1 to 2 is, you know, ain't gonna make it. Especially if they get no care because the hospitals are overwhelmed and overran. So, therefore, they have to shut everything down, just like they did in China. So, you have to get mentally prepared. If you're not prepping like it's the end of the world, then you're not going to be prepared. You're going to have a way harder time than everyone else. Well, not everyone. You're going to have a hard time like everyone. So that's another thing of concern. Rule of law, marauders. It's very possible. Very possible. Especially once people understand that normality is probably never going to come back. Or not for a very, very long time. Because if the financial system like if you can't go to the bank and get money out, and nobody has cash these days, and nobody even has savings. That's what I'm saying. Like societal breakdown, I think is very likely. It's gonna happen. It's just to what degree and severity. If you guys think the people in charge and the government's prepared for this, they're not. They're not. Believe me. I know. I've been on the other end, right? I was in the military. I know they're not prepared. They also have, those people all have families as well. I'm not trying to scare anyone. I'm just saying I would rather be prepared for the end than not. That's all I'm ever saying, guys. Now, the question is, it's not if this is all going to happen. I am pretty convinced this is going to happen. I'm saying the bank holidays, market's going to get shut down, financial system just completely imploding. The worst case scenario, which sucks because I don't want that to happen either because I'm holding all these mining stocks. So how do we prepare for this as investing wise? Because you want to make as much as humanly possible as this all happens, but you know, you have to get out of the system because you don't want your money and your gains trapped in there, because when is it going to start back up again? Now, okay, the good news is so far that this isn't going to be the end of like everything of humanity or whatever. It's not. A lot of it will be for a lot of people, a percentage, a huge chunk of the human population, possibly it will be. But you know, if you're lucky to be young and healthy, you're gonna live through it, and maybe they'll get the system back up. I don't know, but probably eventually in our lifetimes, or maybe the best case scenario. So the worst and the best. The worst is like Mad Max, and things don't really go back to normal for a very long time. Like, who knows, right? Like many years. The best case scenario is this is going to run its course. You're still going to get Mad Max, but it's going to be short-lived. And once the virus runs its course through everyone and everything, society will pick itself back up and everyone will go back to work. And okay, so you want to watch the Asian countries and to see how, so once it's ran, because it's going to run through them first, so whatever plays out pretty much in China and the other Asian nations is what to expect in the West. And then you probably have a lag time of a few weeks, maybe a month or something. I don't know. Yeah. So let's just take a look. Let's run through some news, and then I'll look at the charts and talk about, because in the private group we're planning to short. We're just going to short the shit out of everything. And metals look strong right now. So this is what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping metals will still break out for the next few weeks, maybe a month. It all depends how fast this nCoV thing spreads, right? And affects the real economy in the West. I'm hoping we have a few more months. I'm hoping we have 4 months, 6 months before it gets as bad as it did in Asia. That's what I'm hoping for. I don't know. I mean, I could look at my model, but my model says we're screwed by like May. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen. Although, unfortunately, in the West, they're not like preparing at all to be able to stop this. So, or to slow it down. So And nobody has masks because they've been all bought up online. I mean, you can probably still find them on the shelves because they've ramped up production. So if you haven't, you know, you might want to get a few, at least for you and your people you care about. So we have to take this day by day, literally. Yeah, if it comes to it where I see everything is just going to go to pure crap, I will just sell everything. You want some cash on you underneath the mattress. You want everything else for the apocalypse, and then you want to make as much gains as humanly possible, because when everything starts happening, like the market crashing, metals rising, you can make life-changing money real quick. But then you gotta like get it out of the system and go get some physical while you still can and get cash. And if you just and go buy things like maybe a home somewhere else, or a truck, like all-wheel drive, a Ford Raptor would come in handy in times like some barrels of maybe some fuel, you know. You never know. It's always good to have those things. I get those things despite this NCOF thing, because I understand the complexity of the world we live in, this globalized world, the supply chain, just-on-time shipping. Like I said in my previous videos, it takes like 3 days for the shelves to go empty and 1 week of food for an average person, at least in the West. And globally as well, probably. Too many people rely on the system, is what I'm saying, is the problem. If everyone had their own little plot of land and they had a small garden and maybe like a goat or at least chickens, then I wouldn't be as concerned, because people wouldn't have to get all crazy and panicked because they're starving. You know what I'm saying? Because when society is more self-reliant, when everyone's more self-reliant, these types of things aren't as bad. But that's not the case. It's not the world we live in anymore. Everyone's crammed into closet-sized apartments in major cities, and that's why things are so bad. That's why things are going to be really bad. Because when you become more reliant on the system, like the government or international corporations, you're on the teat, and when that teat gets taken away, people get a little crazy, right? That's why you never want to be that's why you always want to be self-reliant. Because when you're self-reliant, you are what? Self-reliant. All right. Same when it goes to like welfare. Like, you lose skills, you're not self-reliant whatsoever. You're at the mercy of your rulers. And that's what they always try to trap everyone into. This is bad. Well, listen, this literally confirms the numbers I was saying 2 weeks ago, where they should be. I said, what, 250,000? That should be pretty much infected, and said that, what, a week ago? So right now it's probably half. But now the real numbers are starting to come out, because eventually they have to leak the real numbers, because when everyone has a family member who's, you know, deceased, the truth's going to come out eventually, one way or another. And if they lie all the way till the end, what you end up getting is uprisings, right? So now they're starting to release the real information. By the way, the NWO just literally accidentally said, it's on my Twitter, I didn't post it in the newsroom, that 5 billion people in the world are going to get infected. There's only 7 in the world. All right, here's the article. WHO advisor says 5 billion people will be infected. His estimates suggest that the virus could one day infect billions of people, far more than 60,000 or so cases as earlier on Thursday. If the virus truly has a mortality rate of 2%, which is, it's more. So mortality, again, my last video. Mortality is probably 2%, but fatality is the problem, right? So 5 billion are infected. let's just do some napkin math here. 5 billion. Hospitals are all overrun. Most people, like 99%, can't get an ICU because they can't, because there's not enough in the world. And fatality is, let's just say 10%. So 10% of 5 billion is, it's a lot. It's 500 million. It's a lot. He said around 100 million would pass away from it. That's if, you know, that. But what I'm saying is, if this spreads globally really quick in the next like 2 to 3 months, that fast, and it pretty much hits everyone, and no one's getting any kind of care, so 10% of 5 billion. Unless there's, I mean, that's more than enough, guys, to implode the global economy. I'm sorry. Unless the transmissibility changes, surveillance and containment can only work so well. The quantitative infectious diseases of the University of Florida interview at the WHO headquarters in Geneva, isolating cases and quarantining contacts is not going to stop this fight. Listen, doctors are getting this. A lot of doctors and nurses have gotten this in China. Another doctor working on the cruise liner got it. I mean, and they're in full suits, the full hazmat. A researcher and scientist who have spent his entire career focusing on infectious diseases is hardly the only scientist making dire warnings. Yeah, a bunch of them have said this. Estimated as many as 50,000 people may be infected each day in China. I mean, that's a lot. Even for a population of 1.4 billion. Now, here's the thing. Everything China's done is slowed it down dramatically, but it's not going to stop it. And they're already trying to get people to go back to work. At Nissan, like 500 workers just went back to work. They found one infected. They all went back home, right? Or no, they didn't even go back home. They quarantined them. So if you go into work, you're probably gonna get taken away and put into one of those camps. So a lot of people probably just won't show up anyways in the end. Why would you? The estimates of spread are a part of a spectrum of possibilities that could unfold as an epidemic. So the word pandemic and epidemic are two different things. Pan is like in your nation, but epi is, it's all over the world. And we're at epidemic. All right, guys. There's already, someone just died in Japan. The next few weeks may provide more information about how easily the disease spreads outside of China, particularly if more measures are put in place to control it. Here's the deal, guys. This is what we need to look for. And I said this in my last video. It's this right here. Rest of the world. So far, only 28. 28, which is, you know, that's not right. It's probably 2,800, if not more. Who knows? Yeah, so why is this data completely off on this chart? The data is not even updated on this chart. Mainland, it's not 28. It's way more. The U.S. just got a few more cases. One in Texas they got off a plane from China though, so that's not too worrisome. But it's it's spreading on its own, and major cities. Like I said, guys, on that tweet, all it takes is one person to faint in in New York City at any major spot, and there's a video or picture of it, starts spreading on social media. That's when it's too late. And if you haven't prepped, you're not going to be able to get supplies. And by that time, I don't give a shit how much money the central banks print. The market's going to fall. it's going to fall. Everyone's just going to sell. And who's going to end up holding the bag? I don't know, the Fed? So, listen. The market right now, the only reason it's going up, here's the S&P 500. The only reason it's going up is because bad news is good news, because everyone on the market's like, woo, they're going to have to print more money. And we all know where that goes. Goes to these trillion-dollar companies and their stocks. And then our stocks are going to keep going higher. That's what they all think. Yeah, that's been happening, but it's not going to end like that. And it can't happen forever. At some given point, you can't ignore the fact that this is a serious global problem that's gonna crash everything. Small businesses are all gonna go under. They don't have the cash to survive this. People are gonna lose their jobs. I mean, everything's gonna fall apart. It doesn't matter how much they print. And it's going to cause hyperinflation eventually. So all that money is going to rush out of this is why they need to keep stocks up, guys. Because if they let a correction big enough happen in the stock market, where's all that cash going to go? It's not going to go in the bonds. It's going to go back out into the economy. And people are going to buy up homes, this and that, resources and real capital, like real things. And it's going to cause like massive inflation. And this is the perfect type of black swan event to do that. So they're going to try to keep the markets calm as long as possible with BS news. But in the end, it's going to price it in and everyone's going to panic. And at that point in time, you might be able to make life-changing money real quickly. And then you have to decide how to protect it. Hopefully you get some physical, hopefully you could, and what I mean by, listen, I'm not going to keep it on me. What are you going to do, haul it around with you? Get it into, there's banks, right, that hold it for you with armed guards. That's what you pay, that's why you pay a small premium, and you pay a little bit every month. So it's behind the gated doors and a wall and guards, right? It's probably your best bet. It's better than the marauders getting to it. Or people coming through your front door. Just confiscating whatever. Because it's crazy times. You know, desperate times call for desperate measures. And we're just doing our job. Right. Yeah, guys. I'm concerned. I'm not gonna lie. Alibaba warns Black Swan event. Wow. Aren't they so early to the news? The problem with me, guys, is I'm so early. I'm usually about a month to a few weeks early before. I'm not saying I'm an oracle here, or, you know, but as of late, I've been pretty good predicting the future. That's why I get so mad when there's trolls. I'm like, how can you deny me? I've been right for years. but I'm not like too early. I'm always just right before it happens. Not just like a couple weeks or months. It's plenty of time, but it's not too soon, right? So I'm not a stopped clock. Yeah. Alibaba is pretty much like the Amazon of the world. They ship major supplies and products to businesses. So they are the Amazon to businesses all around the world. So everything you see on Amazon, someone else bought that off of Alibaba and then sells it to you on Amazon. And Bezos just sold like a bunch of his stocks. Just bought like a mansion in LA. But I don't know if he knows, because why would you buy a mansion in LA? That's stupid. It's the last place you want to be. There's a lot of breakouts there as well right now. So let's just browse through the news, then I'll go to charts. And that's a huge jump to 160,000. and 10x these numbers again. You see, even they could be just completely lying with the same ratio as they have been in the past few weeks, but they still have to raise it in comparison to the actual real numbers. So if you 10x it, you could possibly still 10x it right now, and that's more closer to the real number. But like I said, they probably don't know either because they don't have enough tests to test everyone. It's completely ground to a halt. Worst case scenario in China. And that's what their measures that they could take. They have way more control over their populace than any other country in the world, besides like North Korea. So imagine what's going to happen in the West, where people aren't going to, you're not going to be able to go around and just boss people around like that, which is a good thing, right? But, people from the free market side of things, the libertarian side, people will self-quarantine and do everything by themselves. They don't need to be told to do anything. But the difference is when you're told and forced, that's when people get mad. But when, if everyone was just honest with everyone, then things would be more orderly. People would be able to get supplies better with gradual time. And then when shit hits the fan, it's not as bad. But because everyone's being lied to and told that it's okay, everything's going to be okay, the shock, because there's going to be a shock. Because once enough people start getting hit and you start seeing videos all over the place and whatnot, and they're going to be censoring those too, the shock to the public is going to make them really angry. So it's all going to backfire on the control structure in the West and everywhere else in the world. Right. Oh yeah, London. There's a case in London, a taxi driver or Uber driver. London's one of the big major cities in the world. Very densely populated. London's like Turkey now too. There are all kinds of people, and you never and they're downplaying it. I posted an article in the newsroom. They're downplaying it. They're like, it's okay, everyone, just keep doing what you're doing. Keep using public transportation, underground tunnels and the metros where people are crowded and they're moving in and out of these trains. All it takes is one person to go down there, and it's a super spreading event, right? But they're downplaying it, of course. And they sent that person home too, so if you live around there, I'm telling you, get prepared. 165 million bachelor pad. This guy's evil too, by the way. By the way, everyone is still talking about the typical things they talk about. This is on nobody's radar except us and a few other channels, right? So be thankful. By the way, the Fed repo operations, I guess they took back 20 billion, which is nothing, because on average every day they do more. It's like one of those tricks. Hey, look, everyone, we don't need this anymore. Everything's okay. It's just one of those psychological tricks. Tomorrow, next week, they're gonna ramp up more repo operations. Don't worry. Believe you me. And I think the market, the top might really be in now. And if it's not, who gives a shit? It's going to be in soon. Alright, guys? I can't just keep doing this. When I show you some charts, you're not going to believe it. Yeah, JP came out with some estimate of this NCOV, and completely off. Data completely skewed. They're all just buying themselves time, I believe, so they could sell. Maybe. I'm speculating, I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised. There's a news article, and then there's a bunch of bullish fake news articles going around. Like Foxconn, which creates like all the phones and everything for Apple, started, you know, having the workers go back and they're opening up factories. Completely lies. At this point, who cares if it's man-made? Of course it is. I've already talked about it. At this point, none of that matters, guys. The only thing that matters is how to survive and thrive, right? Let's go to some charts. The dollar is still rallying. It's at 99.1. That's pretty big. That's because of the turmoil in the world. 10-year yield still dropping. Gold's holding strong. It hit 1580. The VIX is all the way back down, but it's going to pop again soon, I believe. Listen, a few more weeks and it's going to be spreading in all countries. I believe. That's what I'm predicting. All right? Because it's so fast and it can't be contained. And not just that, nobody else in the West or anywhere else is prepared. They're not even taking precautionary measures besides every plane that comes directly out of China. But you think people aren't still coming in from other countries where it's spreading? I mean, come on. Let me show you something. So here is the FANG index. It's on an 8 count. So next week it's on a 9 count. 9 count means 1 to 4 candle pullback or a 9 full count correction. So 9 candles to the downside. So after next week or the beginning of next week, we could see, I predict, I believe, could be wrong, 9 weeks of downside, if not more. Who knows how bad it'll get, right? These are your financials, your banks. They're still up there, hitting new highs. They hit new highs this week. These are going to correct in a major way. Here's the transports. It still looks the same as it did earlier this week. I mean, nothing's changed for U.S. transports. But as this global supply chain breaks, this is going to start falling. And once the transports index starts falling, it has to take the rest of the market with it. I don't care how much liquidity. Here's the problem. The Fed's going to come on. They're going to say, we're going to provide QE, liquidity, and then the market might temporarily rally on it. Then it'll fall again. Then they'll come out and do it again. It'll temporarily. It might not be a straight down drop. It's just going to be like a managed demolition, pretty much. What they're going to do is change the rules, right? They'll outlaw shorting. We got to take this day by day, guys. It's not going to be easy, but it'll be profitable. Now, guys, I know it's altcoin season for the crypto people. These aren't altcoins. These are trillion-dollar market cap companies, U.S. internationals companies that all rely on supply chain. Well, these two not so much. I mean, this is JP Morgan, this is Berkshire Hathaway, you know, Warren Buffett. But these four, right? Apple, well, this is tech, this is googly. But, you know, they're not that exposed to the supply chain because they don't really deal with physical stuff. But Amazon sure does. Microsoft, even they do. All semiconductors come out of China. So, I mean, they're going to take a hit too, don't worry. But, look at this. These look at Apple. Look at Microsoft. Look at Amazon. These look like 2017 crypto shitcoins. They've gone parabolic. 9 degrees straight up. This is going to end very badly and abruptly and quickly. Alright, guys. So what did I want to... Let's, listen, I don't even have to look at a Bitcoin chart. I'll look at it. I forgot to look at it in my last video. That's how much I care. By the way, if you know how to trade, you know how to use leverage, you know how to trade options, you could make way more money than trading cryptos just because they're super volatile. That brings me to my one argument. A lot of moon boys are gonna say, and tubers, oh, this NCOV and this crisis is great for crypto. No, it's not. Maybe people use it to transfer, but those mining farms are pretty much gonna get shut. They are shut down. Transactions are gonna go through the roof. Scalability is gonna slow. Like, not just that. Do people really view it as a safe haven? Because it's extremely volatile. I think during these times they're not, and people are going to need their money to buy things to survive. The least on their mind is going to be about, you know, some crypto gains. All right, I'm just keeping it real, guys. I'm being honest. All right, guys. Here's a Bitcoin chart. On the daily, it's on the 9 sell. So I expect a correction here. Not just that, we have the 200-day moving average crossing my blue line. Super, super bearish. Oscillators need to reset to the downside. So I would take profits. Also, the weekly is also on the 9 sell. It's on 9 sell. I mean, I told you guys at about 10,100. It actually made it up to like 10,300 or something like that. 500, 400, 450. Perfect time to take profits, and it's gonna correct and fall back down. I might go short this. I should. Anyways, oscillators. All oscillators overextended, except the TM squeeze. Listen, I'm not. I wouldn't hold. Everyone I know on Twitter, all the crypto moon boys, bag holders who try to convince the world to buy their bags, they keep saying that this is gonna go take out all-time highs in the next few months, and well, we can see 50,000 by year's end. It's all bullshit, guys. I don't see more people interested. If anything, more people are gonna leave with time. And you know when I'll be interested again? When I hardly see anyone left on Twitter, when I hardly see any more shills left, when YouTubers have all quit, when it's a desolate land and it's been trading sideways for months. So on the weekly, 1 to 4 to maybe even 9 weeks of downside coming on Bitcoin. That's what I believe is going to happen. And especially with this crisis coming, no one's going to buy cryptos, guys. Not enough people even know how to do it or are tech savvy enough, believe it or not. And I would look to take profits. I could be completely wrong. This might run a little higher. I don't know how much higher they can manipulate it or who's going to pump the price, but let's do my famous arrow. I know a lot of people are going to freak out and spiral again and make, you know, fun of me like I care. This is what I think long term for the rest of this year. All right? Especially with this crisis that's going to unfold. And that's just what I think. I could be completely wrong. Consult your licensed financial advisor. Alright, guys. Let's take a look at gold and silver. Here's gold. If the price... I mean, we have... I don't want to draw another thing here. This is a weekly chart of gold. There's a cup and handle. And it did break out a little bit, but then it was smashed. But this should, I expect to still get up to 1680, hopefully in the short term. Short term meaning next few weeks or months. Like I said, I don't know how fast this crisis is gonna happen, right? This NCOV crisis. If you look at the oscillators, a bit overextended, but they could go a little higher. I think this crisis will be a different type of trigger for metals. So even if it does break out in the next few weeks, here's the problem. If stocks actually start crashing, let's say they lose control, the central bankers and all that, and the PPT group, it might break out, rally like in a big way, maybe a couple $100, maybe it'll take out the new high, maybe it'll make new highs, but it'll probably sell off eventually, like this year or in a few months, if the crisis keeps escalating to a point where there's some serious, like, if the US or Europe ends up like China, metals are going to dump too. Mining companies, those shares are going to dump too. It's just, it is what it is. Everyone is going to hit the panic sell everything button. They need to cover their margin calls. They're going to sell everything, and everything's going to drop. It happened in 2009 as well. So this is what I hope for. What I'm scared of, what I don't want to see happen, is this. Like in the next like week or two, metals just dump with everything else as well. And you have to be aware that that may happen. All right. But right now, for the daily, I'm bullish on the daily. And we've tested 1580, and we've also tested 1600 quite a few times in the past few weeks. All right. So the more you test a resistance area, the more likely it's going to break out and above it. And it looks like, this also looks like a bullish flag, or a bullish pennant as well. This is also a bullish pennant, and you can make a flag as well right here. So yeah. So for the short term, next few days and weeks, bullish metals. I showed you in my last chart that the 200-week moving average, the blue equilibrium line, is going to cross the 200-week moving average on silver. That should shoot silver hopefully to $20, and that would definitely launch gold maybe another $100 or something. And that's just that. Once everyone panics in the markets and realizes that this this NCOF thing is really serious, yeah, a lot of people might actually buy, you know, metals to profit off of the situation and the equities market selling off, because there's only so many places you could run, like the dollar and metals. That's it, to protect yourself. So cash and metals, that would be the safe haven, the only safe havens. With the mining stocks, though, they will get affected like everything else with the global supply chain. And will it be temporary? Yes. I mean, it's not like everything's going to shut off for the rest of our lives. I don't know how long, maybe a few months, maybe a few weeks, maybe an entire year. I don't know. Maybe 5 years. I don't know if it's Mad Max, but the problem is the financial system and the over leveragedness of all the corporations in the world. So even if once the virus has gone through and everyone goes back to work, everyone's not going to go back to work, because this will be a huge financial hit. A lot of companies are going to go under, even the big ones. So normalization back to things the way they are right now will not happen. I'm not saying forever, but listen, this is the reset. This is the black swan. Things aren't going to be the same for a very, very long time. Who knows? Maybe decades. I don't know. I'm prepared for it. You got to get prepared for it. I mean, I'm not personally prepared for it to happen now, but now I have to run around and do things and get prepared. I just want to I really just want metals to break out and the equity markets to correct, and then we could profit massively from it, take them gains, and then go buy things you need if you haven't, or if you can't afford it, right? And I'm talking about big ticket items. I'm talking about like a 4x4 truck, a trailer, a generator. I don't know. All right, a new home maybe outside of the city. You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean. All right, guys. If you have any comments or questions, I'll answer them in the comment section. Smash them likes. Share my videos. It's the only way my channel grows. All my videos are completely, no new people are coming to my channel. It's completely, no one sees these videos unless you click that bell button and subscribed, and who knows even then. All right, guys. Go to the newsroom. All the links go to my website for the private group. The newsroom link is in the description section below the video. If you can't figure that out, then don't worry. Darwinism is gonna take care of everything for you. All right, guys. Till next time.